Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is Write Your Wednesdays and I'm going to give you some tips on how to come up with stories. Well, most of your content is on St. Andrews and Museum, so why are you doing writing? Well, one of my hobbies is writing scripts, particularly stage plays at the moment, but also have dabbled in screenwriting. And I wanted to give some tips and tricks of what I learned throughout my experiences, and today is going to be about inspiration. So how do I come up with the ideas, how do I develop my ideas will come next, and then obviously going through the whole process. The first episode in this series was my reaction to my stage play being chosen, and it's going to be hopefully in September. I will be hearing some news on it today. So let's get started. So in terms of inspiration, many writers that I have had the chance to speak to or attend their workshops or training say that the most important thing in writing is to write from experiences, from your own experiences or from what you experience in the whole world around you. It is very important to be observant. If you're on a bus or on a train, look at different people, how they react, maybe looking at the elderly in a different light or the young from a different perspective, and just build your ideas from there. For example, I've written a script last November, I believe, called Live, and it's very close to my heart because it details some of my experiences dealing with mental health, and that is probably the script which I am not scared of rewriting, but I need to build it up more to not be that dark. Building ideas on your own experiences makes you more of an expert on them, but of course there are other topics such as abortion, politics, the climate, the environment, which need a bit more research. That is also something that goes into inspiring ideas. Of course, my first script that was chosen for a short play festival was about abortion, and the whole concept came to me when I started thinking about a man who would have never lived. So someone who we see his life and his story but has never lived in real life and lives only in the imagination of someone. And from there it came the sort of concept of linking it with abortion. And of course I had my opinions on abortion, and as a writer you cannot possibly create a play where you show your bias towards a subject, and you need to be a bit more careful. So you need to do your research, you need to see both sides. I personally believe that through the research I did for that play, I managed to somewhat understand one side better than the other. Another thing that really helps are writing prompts or book prompts. I have 2 books at the moment which I am using. I have stopped because I'm writing my dissertation at the moment, but I will surely use them more in the future. So there's one which is Continue the Story, which is from Paper Chase. I love Paper Chase, and I love when they come out with writing journals, because you can always find me at the front door just, shut up and take my money, give me the journal. And then at the beginning of my academic year last year, so in September, I bought a, what's the name, flash fiction? I believe it's called Flash Fiction, and it's basically, it prompts you with different types of stories. So sometimes you write a monologue, other times you write a story with no dialogue, other times you write a conversation that happens on a phone, and they give you these sort of prompts. Obviously you need to distance yourself when it comes to taking these prompts and then using them as your own story, because obviously it's not your own idea, it's someone else's idea, but you're taking it and putting it into a play. Like for example, the stage play that is chosen for the Cospicua Short Play Festival started from the Flash Fiction. The prompt was a dialogue between two people who were thinking of something which is very stupid to argue about, and it created this sort of element of two people fighting over something which is very stupid. And then of course you have the twist of the environment going around them, so what is happening while they're fighting. And that's what I sort of did with my script. I'm explaining this very badly, but if you're in Malta, come see it. It's on the 4th and the 5th of September. It's in Maltese. I'm very sorry for my English speakers. I would have loved to do it in English, but you have to cater to your audience at some point. Perhaps it can be adapted in English one day. I mean, it can work in both Maltese and English and Italian and French, in any language, basically. The next thing that inspires me is insomnia. During lockdown, as many people have experienced, I couldn't sleep much, so most of the time I end up just imagining scenarios or imagining characters or imagining these new worlds, and I always ended up at 3 o'clock in the morning just opening up my notes app on my phone and just writing down all my ideas that come to mind. Of course, this isn't healthy for your mental health, because you're staying up at ridiculous hours in the morning and then waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning and then spending a whole day just working. So not the best idea, but if you're finding it difficult to sleep, just start imagining scenarios or imagining characters or imagining a storyline and then just write it down. And of course, linked with insomnia are dreams. When sometimes I cannot sleep and start imagining things, my brain goes into sleep mode imagining that story, so I end up dreaming these full-length feature films in my head and then wake up and forget them. It has happened to me so many times. I swear I have lost so many good ideas. But if you remember a dream, make sure to put it down in a journal or in your notes app so that you can remember it and then potentially one day develop it into a story. And also, I'm mentioning note apps and journals, etc, etc. Make sure you have an idea pool, because when competitions come up or script writing competitions come up, or you want to give it to a friend or a production house, you always have an idea pool to go to. I have so many notes in my notes app, as well as my journals are filled with ideas or concepts. So an idea pool is definitely a good idea. After obviously coming up with the idea and wanting to develop it, you need to write it. And these are some tools that people in the industry use to write either stage plays or screenplays. Of course, the formatting is different in both, and the programs I'm going to mention, some are preferred for screenplay while others are preferred for stage plays. But if you get the format down, you can use the same program for the two types of scripts. I personally have found a whiteboard very, very useful when it comes to developing characters and the storyline. I don't know why I didn't get a whiteboard before, but it makes it so much easier to put a character timeline and give them their milestones in life, and then obviously working out the story to match their milestones. And I tell you not, it's amazing. So I can show you the whiteboard map I did for Hush Little Baby. It was the first name I came up with. I am very bad with names, and it's horrible when trying to name your own work. It's very, very horrible. I hate titling my work. That's why I always use something that is happening in the play, and Hush Little Baby obviously is a name of a song that is used in the play. The first title for it was It, and this is how the whiteboard looks like. Obviously I have the milestones of the character and then how I wanted to divide the acts. Technically it was a 20-minute play, so I had to keep in mind that there is a climax at the beginning or a surprise, and then you develop the characters, and then of course there's a twist in the end. Feel free to pause and look through what I wrote on the whiteboard. Then I either use a notebook, a normal notebook from Paper Chase or any other stationery, or else my tablet. So my tablet has a stylus and I either handwrite or else type. Again, when I'm mentioning this stuff, I am documenting it in some way or another. So when I was developing Hush Little Baby, I started on my tablet, started writing the ideas that I wanted to include in the play, and then I moved onto the whiteboard to actually visually see how I'm going to create this play, and then moving on to a script writing software on my laptop. When I move into a script writing program or software, I usually use the free ones, although this year I'm looking into purchasing one of two programs, which I'll get into later. So when I get into the script writing software, I tend to free write. In one of the workshops I attended last year, one of our tutors just told us to shut up and write, and that is how I deal with my writing at the moment. It's just shut up and writing, no editing, just writing whatever comes to mind, letting the characters talk and say what they want to say, and then of course going back and editing it later on. Some of the tools I use or softwares, most people tend to use Word documents or Google Docs. I don't like it because you need to do a lot of formatting on that. I can do another video on formatting if you'd like, so leave a comment telling me that you would like that or a like. I personally used Celtx for both my short plays that were chosen, but there is also Final Draft and Scrivener, which are both, you need to pay for the program, and those are the two I'm considering buying at the moment. One of them because they're both a tiny bit expensive, but if you're a student you can actually get the cheaper version. Well, not cheaper as in the program, the cheap fee, because you're a student and of course you need it for your studies. And sometimes I also use Trelby, which is a free screenwriting software like Celtx. Last thing is the rewriting process. So every writer knows that the rewriting process takes a long time, and you go through many drafts when you're writing a script. I tend to free write it on one day and then leave it for a few days, so like maybe 3 to 5 days, just to think about it, come up with some other ideas, think of where the dialogue can be a bit longer or a bit shorter. Depends on how your work ethic is. I personally like to print it, so I print scripts, go on with a pencil and rubber and just go through giving notes to myself basically, and editing dialogue, actions, scenes, how this should play out, or any ideas I come up with while I'm mulling over the script. Rewrites happen many times after that initial process, because obviously you always come up with new ideas. Technology is always evolving, so you can actually include any technological enhancements to it. You're doing it in a different venue, you have different actors acting different characters. The examples I'm thinking of at the moment is the current play that they are producing for the Cospiqua Short Play Festival, where I had a particular character who had a big build, so the character was a bit on the heavier side and he was very intimidating, but the actor that we ended up casting doesn't look like that, so I had to amend and rewrite some of the monologues to actually fit the new character and the new actor, and that is always a process of rewriting. That is it for today. I hope you gained some tips from this video. If you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe, click the like button. Bye!